Her name is Grace, just 9 years old. No family to turn to, no money in her tiny hands, just her heavily pregnant mother, Sarah, writhing in terrible pain on the cold, wet street under dark storm clouds. Every scream her mother let out cut through Grace's small heart like a sharp knife. She held her mother's shaking hand tight, running up to strangers passing by, begging them to help. But people only glanced, whispered to each other, and hurried away faster. Please, please, somebody help us. My mama's having her baby, Grace cried, her little voice cracking with fear and sadness. A few stopped to stare, but instead of helping, they started laughing at her. Some shook their heads and muttered mean things. Others just looked with pity and kept walking. But Grace's father had already thrown them out into the rain. He had slammed the door in their faces, his arm around another woman who wasn't Grace's mother. He had chosen his new girlfriend and his comfortable life over his own wife and daughter. That brutal betrayal and the way he shoved them out had stressed Sarah so badly that the baby started coming too early. Now, as Grace tried desperately to get her mother closer to the hospital that seemed so far away, she didn't know if they would make it. Her mother was getting weaker and weaker. The rain was making them both so cold. All Grace knew was that she couldn't give up. She couldn't stop trying, because if she gave up now, she would lose the only person in the whole world who had ever truly loved her. Hello, welcome to our story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is there. Just a few years ago, Grace's family was poor, but they were happy. Her father, Robert Johnson, worked as a security guard at a big office building downtown. He didn't bring home much cash, but he loved his family hard. Every evening, he'd scoop up little Grace and spin her around until she giggled like crazy. He'd plant a kiss on Sarah's cheek and ask how her day went, really listening like it mattered. They crammed into a tiny one-room apartment, sharing a lumpy bed and scraping by on whatever was left after bills. Sometimes dinner was just rice and beans, but Robert always made sure Grace and Sarah ate first, even if his stomach growled all night. "We ain't got much," he'd say, pulling them close on the worn-out couch. "But we got each other. That's gold right there." Grace bought it hook, line, and sinker. She felt safe, wrapped in that love. But then, bam, everything flipped. One day, Robert burst through the door with a grin splitting his face. "Boss saw how I bust my ass every shift," he boasted, waving a paycheck fatter than any they'd seen. "Made me manager of the whole security team. We're talking real money now, baby." At first, Sarah and Grace were over the moon. They upgraded to a bigger place with actual rooms. No more tripping over each other. Grace got her own bed with soft sheets that didn't itch. Sarah stopped stressing about grocery runs. Robert splurged on new clothes, a flat-screen TV, and takeout that wasn't from the dollar menu. But money started twisting Robert up in ways nobody saw coming. He stayed out late, claiming networking or closing deals. Came home reeking of cologne that wasn't his usual cheap stuff, flashing shiny watches and designer kicks. Sarah tried talking sense. "Robert, the baby's coming soon. We gotta stash some cash away." He'd wave her off, eyes glued to his phone. "Chill, woman. I got this covered." Then Sarah caught wind of Linda. She worked at the upscale spot where Robert lunched now, all giggles and batting lashes at his jokes. Linda didn't give a damn he was married, just eyed the gifts he showered on her, the fancy dinners, the weekends away. Sarah confronted him one night, her belly huge and aching from the weight. "How dare you?" she whispered, voice shaking. "I'm carrying your child, Robert. Grace needs her dad." He exploded. "How dare me? I grind for this dough. I can do what I want." His face twisted like she'd slapped him. Sarah begged, tears streaming. "Think about us. We're your family." Robert sneered, cold as ice. "Family? Linda's my future now. She's hot, fun, doesn't nag like you." That night, he dropped the bomb. "Pack your crap and get out. Now." Sarah clutched her stomach. "Robert, I'm 9 months along. The baby could drop any second. Where do we go?" He shrugged, already texting Linda. "Not my problem. Take the kid and bounce." Grace overheard from her room, heart pounding like a drum. She rushed out, grabbing his sleeve. "Daddy, please. Mommy needs rest. Don't make us leave." Robert shoved her off, hard enough to sting. Don't call me that. I ain't your dad no more. Hit the road. Sarah's hands trembled as she stuffed clothes into a duffel. Grace helped, fighting back sobs. At the door, Sarah turned, voice soft but steel. One day, you'll get what you're tossing away. Hope somebody shows you more mercy than this. Robert didn't even glance up. Just go, and stay gone. The door slammed, lock clicking like a final nail. Rain pelted them outside, soaking through in seconds. Sarah leaned on Grace, breath ragged. We'll be okay, baby girl, she murmured, but her eyes said otherwise. Grace clutched her mom's hand, staring back at the glowing windows where Linda's laugh echoed faintly. The storm raged, mirroring the chaos inside her. How could Daddy turn into this monster? The only home she knew was gone, and the night stretched endless ahead. Rain hammered down like nails, soaking Sarah and Grace to the bone as they stumbled away from the only home they'd known. Sarah clutched her swollen belly, each step sending jolts of pain up her spine. Just a little further, baby girl, she gasped, but her voice cracked, weak as wet paper. Grace gripped her mom's arm, half dragging her along the slick sidewalk. The streetlights blurred through the downpour, casting long shadows that swallowed them whole. They had nowhere to crash, no relatives in town, no friends with spare couches. Robert had cut them off from everything, like they'd never existed. Grace's sneakers squished with every step, her thin jacket no match for the cold whipping through. "Mommy, where are we gonna go?" she whispered, voice small against the storm's roar. Sarah forced a smile, but it wobbled. "We'll figure it out. We always do." But inside, fear gnawed at her. 9 months pregnant, tossed out like yesterday's trash. What kind of man did that to his own blood? They ducked under a bridge for a bit, huddling against the concrete wall as cars whooshed overhead. Sarah leaned back, breathing heavy, her face pale under the flickering lights. Grace pressed close, sharing what little warmth she had. Hours ticked by like torture. 3 days now since Robert's boot. They'd scraped by on park benches and alley doorways, dodging the chill, but tonight felt different. Sarah's groans grew sharper, her hand pressing harder on her stomach. "Oh God," Sarah muttered, doubling over. A wave of pain hit her like a truck, ripping a cry from her throat. Grace's eyes went wide. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Sarah bit her lip, tasting blood. "The babies. It's coming too soon. The stress. All this." She trailed off, another contraction slamming her. Grace's heart raced. She didn't know jack about babies, but she knew this was bad. Real bad. They couldn't stay put. Grace helped her mom up, arm around her waist, and they staggered back into the rain. The streets were emptying out, folks rushing home to dry clothes and hot meals. Grace scanned desperately for anyone who might help. A couple hurried by under an umbrella, laughing about some joke. Grace darted out, tugging the woman's coat. "Please, ma'am, my mom's hurting real bad. The baby's coming. Can you call somebody?" The woman yanked away, umbrella tilting rain onto Grace's face. "Get off me, kid. We ain't got time for this." Her guy chuckled, shaking his head. "Probably just panhandling. Come on, babe." They vanished into the night, leaving Grace stunned. Panhandling? Her mom was dying out here. Sarah screamed again, collapsing to her knees on the wet pavement. Grace knelt beside her, rain mixing with tears on her cheeks. "Hold on, Mommy. I'll get help." She spotted a guy in a suit, phone glued to his ear, dodging puddles. Grace ran up, blocking his path. "Mister, please, my mom's pregnant and she's in pain. We need a doctor." He stopped, annoyance flashing across his face. "Kid, move! I'm late." But Grace didn't budge. "Please, sir. She's right there. Look." He glanced at Sarah, writhing on the ground, then back at Grace. A smirk crept up. "Where's your dad? This ain't my mess." Grace's voice broke. He kicked us out. Please, just help." The guy laughed outright, a harsh bark. "Kicked out? Sounds like family drama, not my problem." He sidestepped her and kept walking, splashing her with puddle water. Grace's chest burned. How could he laugh? She wiped her face and tried again. An older lady with a shopping bag shuffled by. Grace grabbed her sleeve gently. "Ma'am, my mom's having the baby right now. She's sick. Can you help us get to the hospital? The lady peered down, eyes narrowing. Hospital? You got money for that? Looks like you two are just beggars. Grace shook her head frantic. No, ma'am, we're not. My dad. He. But the lady pulled away. Everyone's got a story. Get a job. She muttered something about welfare cases and hurried off. More screams from Sarah pierced the air. Grace rushed back, dropping beside her. I'm trying, Mommy. Nobody's listening. Sarah's face was ghost white, sweat beading despite the cold. Grace, it hurts so much. Another contraction hit, and she gripped Grace's hand like a vice. Grace felt helpless, tiny in the face of it all. Why was the world so mean? They hadn't done anything wrong. She stood again, legs shaking, and flagged down a group of teens laughing under a storefront awning. Hey, please, my mom's dying. Help us. One kid hood up, snorted. Dying? Dramatic much? Another pulled out his phone, not to call help, but to snap a pic. Yo, this is wild. Post it online. Street drama alert. They cracked up, high-fiving. Grace's face flamed. It's not funny. She's really hurting. The first kid shrugged. Chill, little girl. Call 911 yourself. But Grace had no phone. Robert had smashed Sarah's in a fit. The laughs echoed as they walked off. Grace sank down, hugging her knees. People kept passing. A businessman muttering into his Bluetooth, a mom pushing a stroller who crossed the street to avoid them, a cop car slowing, but then speeding up. Each rejection stabbed deeper. Why won't anyone care? Grace whispered to herself. Sarah's breast came ragged now, her body trembling. Grace, I don't know if I can... She trailed off, eyes fluttering. Grace's mind raced. The hospital was blocks away, too far to drag her mom alone. She spotted one last chance, a well-dressed woman in heels, umbrella shielding her perfect hair. Grace bolted over. Lady, please, my mom's having the baby on the street. She's gonna die if nobody helps. The woman stopped, looking down her nose. Die? Honey, that's a stretch. Find your family. Grace sobbed. We don't have one anymore. Please. The woman laughed, a sharp, cutting sound. No family? That's on you. This city's full of sob stories. She clicked away, heels echoing like judgment. Grace crumpled back to Sarah, the rain pounding relentless. Her mom's eyes were half closed, pain etching deep lines. Grace held her hand tight, whispering promises she didn't know how to keep. The world spun cold and cruel around them, and hope felt like a distant dream slipping away. Grace huddled next to Sarah on the drenched sidewalk, rain pounding like a relentless drumbeat. Sarah's breast came in shallow gasps, her body curling tighter with each contraction. Grace's tiny hands clutched her mom's, slick with water and sweat. Don't leave me, Mommy, she whispered, voice raw from crying. The street was a ghost town now, headlights slicing through the downpour like knives. But no one stopped. Hope felt crushed under the weight of it all, crushed like the puddles under passing tires. Sarah's eyes fluttered, pain etching deep grooves in her face. Grace, baby, I love you, she murmured, but her grip weakened. Grace's heart hammered. This couldn't be it. She scanned the empty road again, willing someone, anyone, to appear. Then through the blur, yellow lights flickered. A taxi crawled down the street, tires hissing on wet asphalt. Grace bolted up, waving her arms like flags in a hurricane. Stop! Please stop! The cab slowed, window cracking open just enough. An older black man peered out, gray hair peeking under a worn cap, eyes kind but wary. His name tag glinted. Samuel. What's going on, kid? He called over the storm's howl. Grace rushed the door, words tumbling out. My mom's having the baby. She's hurting bad. We need the hospital. Please, mister. Samuel's gaze shifted to Sarah, crumpled on the ground, and his face softened like melting butter. Lord Almighty, he muttered, killing the engine and hopping out. Rain soaked his shirt in seconds as he knelt by Sarah. Ma'am, you with me? Hang in there. Sarah nodded weakly, another moan escaping. Samuel looked back at Grace. How long's this been going on? Started bad tonight, Grace sniffled. But we've been out here days. My dad, She choked up. Samuel's jaw tightened, but he didn't push. No time for stories now. Let's get her in. He scooped Sarah up like she weighed nothing, strong arms from years behind the wheel. Grace grabbed their soggy bag and scrambled into the back seat beside her mom. The cab smelled like old coffee and pine air freshener. Safe somehow. I ain't got money, Grace blurted as Samuel revved the engine. Just a couple bucks. It's not enough. Samuel caught her eye in the rear view, his smile warm as a hearth. Kid, some things in life trump cash. Your mom's life? That's one of them. Grace's chest loosened a fraction, the first real breath in hours. As they sped through slick streets, Samuel dodged potholes, glancing back. Name Samuel. You? Grace, she said softly. Sarah cried out again, and Samuel coached. Breathe deep, sister. We're almost there. For the first time, Grace felt a spark. Not full hope, but something flickering. This stranger cared when no one else did. Why him? Didn't matter. He was here. The hospital loomed ahead, lights blazing like a beacon. Samuel pulled up to the ER doors, jumping out to help Sarah. Grace trailed, bag thumping against her leg. Thank you, Mr. Samuel, she said, voice thick. He patted her head gently. Take care of your mom, Grace. World's got good folks still. Remember that. He drove off into the rain, taillights fading like a dream. Inside, the lobby hit like a slap. Bright fluorescence stinging Grace's eyes. The tang of bleach and sickness thick in the air. Nurses buzzed around, clipboards clicking. Grace steered Sarah to the desk, her mom's weight heavy on her shoulder. A nurse with tight blonde hair looked up, bored as a rock. Help you? Please, Grace started, polite as pie. My mom's having the baby. She's real sick. Needs a doctor now. The nurse eyed them up and down. Wet clothes, dripping puddles, Sarah panting and pale. Her lip curled just a tad. Name? Sarah Johnson, Grace piped up. The nurse typed slow like molasses. Insurance? Grace blinked. What's that? A sigh escaped the nurse, loud and annoyed. Card that covers bills? Got one? Grace shook her head. No, but the baby's coming. Please help. The nurse leaned back. Emergency deposit first. $200, cash. Grace's stomach dropped like a stone. 200? Might as well be $1 million. She dug into her pocket, pulling out her little purse. Birthday gift from Mom, now soggy. Inside, 3 crumpled dollars and some change. This is all we got, she whispered, dumping it on the counter. Coins clinked pitifully. The nurse stared, then burst out laughing. Not kind, but mean, like nails on a chalkboard. $3? You kidding? That won't even buy a candy bar here. Grace's cheeks burned hot. People in the waiting room turned, whispering. Another nurse wandered over, peeking at the pile. She snorted too. Look at this. Thinks pocket change covers a delivery. Cute. Grace's eyes stung with fresh tears. But my mom's dying. The baby. Please. The first nurse waved her off. This ain't charity, kid. No dough, no doc. She hollered, Marcus, get over here. Escort these 2 out. Disturbing, folks. A burly security guard lumbered over, arms crossed like tree trunks. No! Grace yelped, grabbing Sarah tighter. You can't. What kind of people are you? The nurses just chuckled, shaking their heads. Grace felt the world shrink, shame and rage boiling inside. After everything, the rain, the laughs on the street, Samuel's kindness, this, thrown out again, like garbage. Sarah slumped heavier, her whispers fading. Grace stood her ground, tiny fists clenched, but the guard loomed closer. All that fight, and it led here, to nothing. Nhiem vu, via chi tiet chuang 4. Ban tai nhan ai. So tu muk tieo, 900, 1002. The guard's boots thudded closer, his shadow swallowing Grace and Sarah like a storm cloud. Grace planted her feet, tiny frame shaking but defiant. You can't do this. My mom's gonna have the baby right here. The nurses swapped smirks, one crossing her arms like it was all a bad joke. Sarah slumped against the desk, breaths ragged, a soft whimper escaping as another contraction hit. Grace's mind screamed. After the rain, the cruel streets, Samuel's ride, this couldn't end with them back out in the cold. Then a voice sliced through the chaos, calm but sharp as a blade. "Excuse me, what the hell's going on here?" Grace whipped around. An older woman stood there, silver hair pulled back, neat, simple blue dress hugging her frame. Maybe in her 60s with eyes that sparked kind but fierce. She zeroed in on the nurses like laser beams. The blonde nurse straightened up, plastering on a fake smile. "Oh, Mrs. Williams, just explaining policy to this kid. No payment, no service." Mrs. Evelyn Williams, Grace caught the name from a whisper, stepped closer, glancing at Sarah's pale face and Grace's tear-streaked cheeks. Her jaw tightened. "Policy? You mean letting a woman in labor flop around your lobby because a 9-year-old doesn't have 2 bills?" The second nurse fidgeted. "We got rules, ma'am." Evelyn knelt by Sarah, gentle fingers checking her forehead, hot as a stove. "High fever, active labor. How long you been jerking them around?" The blonde shrugged. "Few minutes, but without deposit." Evelyn cut her off, voice rising like thunder. "Your damn deposit? While she bursts on your floor? That's bullshit." Grace stared, wide-eyed. Who was this lady? Why dive in when everyone else bailed? Evelyn stood, digging into her purse without a blink. She slapped 2 crisp hundreds on the counter. "There, problem solved. Now wheel her to maternity or I'll have your boss's ass." The nurse's laughs died fast. The blonde scooped the cash, signaling aides. "Right away, Mrs. Williams." A wheelchair rolled up, and they eased Sarah in, her groans echoing down the hall. Grace trailed them, clutching the soggy bag like a lifeline. Evelyn fell in step, hand light on Grace's shoulder. "You okay, kiddo? That was rough." Grace nodded, still dazed. "I'm Grace. Thank you for everything." Evelyn smiled soft. "Evelyn Williams. Was here for my checkup. Heard the ruckus. Your mom's tough. Docs'll fix her up." In the delivery room, chaos kicked in. Beeps, shouts, nurses scrambling now that Cash talked. Grace paced outside, Evelyn by her side. "Where's your dad?" "Family," Evelyn asked gentle. Grace's lip quivered. "He dumped us. Got a new girlfriend." Evelyn's eyes flashed anger, then softened. "I'm sorry, honey. That's on him, not you." Hours dragged like molasses. Grace dozed in a hard chair, head on Evelyn's shoulder, stirring at every muffled cry from the room. Evelyn stroked her hair, whispering comforts. "Your mom's a fighter. Hang tight." Finally, a doctor emerged, scrubbing up, smile tired but real. "Grace, your mom's okay. Tired but good. And you've got a baby brother." Grace bolted up, tears of joy mixing with exhaustion. "A brother. Can I see?" The doc nodded. "Few minutes. She's asking for you." Inside, Sarah lay pale but beaming, tiny bundle in her arms wrapped in blue. Grace climbed onto a stool, peering down. The baby, perfect, with tiny fists in Sarah's eyes. "He's so small," Grace whispered, awestruck. Sarah pulled her close. "Meet hope. 'Cause when we lost it all, kindness showed up." She glanced at Evelyn in the doorway, eyes misty. "Mrs. Williams, you saved us. I don't know how to repay." Evelyn waved it off, stepping in. "No need. But Sarah, where are you heading after this? Got a place?" Sarah's face crumpled, joy fading fast. "Nowhere. Been crashing under bridges since he kicked us out. No job, no nothing. And now with hope." Tears spilled. Grace squeezed her hand. "We'll make it, Mom. Somehow." But fear gnawed at her. Cold streets with a newborn? "No way." Evelyn paused, eyes thoughtful on the family. Then decision snapped in. "My house is big, empty since my husband passed 5 years back. Bedrooms gathering dust." She met Sarah's gaze. "Come stay with me. Till you're on your feet." Grace's jaw dropped. Sarah stared. "Mrs. Williams, we can't impose. You've done too much." "Ain't imposing," Evelyn shot back firm. "Place is too quiet. And Grace here reminds me of me as a kid. Brave as hell, loyal to the bone." Grace beamed inside, a warm glow cutting the chill. Sarah hesitated, glancing at Hope's peaceful face. Then Grace's hopeful eyes. "Why us? You don't know us." Evelyn sat on the bed's edge, voice dropping soft. "Long ago I was scared and alone. Stranger helped me. Changed everything. Now it's my turn. She squeezed Sarah's hand. Let me do this. For you, for them. Tears tracked down Sarah's cheeks. Okay, yes, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Grace hugged her mom tight, the room filling with a fragile peace. For the first time in days, the world didn't feel like it was crumbling. Evelyn's hand, strong, kind, had pulled them from the edge. Tomorrow the hospital would release them and a new door would open. But right now, in this moment, they had each other, and that was enough. The next morning, Evelyn showed up at the hospital bright and early, arms loaded with a car seat for hope, and fresh clothes that smelled like sunshine and fabric softener. Grace fingered the soft blue dress, her size, no holes, no stains. How'd you know? She asked, eyes wide. Evelyn winked. Got a knack for guessing, plus a nurse tipped me off. Sarah, still weak but glowing, bundled Hope close as they piled into Evelyn's clean sedan. The drive wound through neighborhoods Grace had only seen in movies. Big lawns, flower beds bursting with color, houses like castles. Evelyn's place hit like a dream. 2 stories, white with green shutters, porch swing creaking gentle. Inside, soft carpets muffled their steps. Furniture begged to be sunk into. Grace hesitated at the rug, kicking off her soggy sneakers. This is ours now? Evelyn chuckled. Yours too, kid. Let's get you settled. Grace's room was magic. A fluffy bed, desk by the window, shelves stacked with books she'd only dreamed of. She ran her fingers over the comforter, soft as clouds. All mine. Evelyn nodded. All yours. Sarah, yours is next door, with a crib for Hope. Sarah's eyes welled up in the hallway. Mrs. Williams, this is too much. We got nothing to give back. Evelyn pulled her into a hug. Company's payment enough. House has been a tomb since my hubby passed. Now let's hear some life in it. Over weeks, Evelyn delivered. She hooked Sarah up with a gig at the front desk of a swanky downtown hotel. Old friend owned it. No experience? Sarah fretted, twisting her hands. Evelyn shrugged. You got grit, politeness, calm under fire. That's gold. He'll train you. Sarah nailed the interview, started in crisp uniforms that made her stand taller. She checked guests in, solved mix-ups with a smile, learned the ropes fast. After her first week, she burst through Evelyn's door, paycheck in hand. I feel like me again, not some discard. Grace watched her mom bloom, singing lullabies to Hope, laughter filling the kitchen. No more scraping by. Dinners were hot, full plates, stories swapped over dessert. Grace dove into school, a fancy elementary with shiny books and teachers who cared. First day jitters hit hard. What if they sniff out I was poor? She whispered to Evelyn at the door. Evelyn knelt, fixing her collar. Poor? Nah, you're rich in smarts and heart. That's what counts. Her teacher, Ms. Ramirez, spotted Grace's fire right off. Stayed late for math help, praised her essays. You're a star, Grace, she'd say, high-fiving after tests. Evenings, Evelyn tutored at the kitchen table, homework battles turning to wins. Why you know everything? Grace asked one night, puzzling over fractions. Evelyn grinned. Taught 5th grade 35 years. Dreamed of a grandkid to spoil with this stuff. Grace's grades shot up, honor roll material. She joined science club, dissecting frogs with glee. I want to be a nurse, she announced one dinner, fork waving. Help folks like us, scared and hurt. Evelyn's eyes misted. You'd rock it, kiddo. Hope grew chubby and giggly, no clue of the storm he entered. Evelyn doted, rocking him, cooing stories. She taught Grace kindness basics. We're here to lift each other, not kick one down. Grace soaked it up, volunteering at soup kitchens, feeling that spark grow. Meanwhile, across town, Robert's world crumbled like cheap plaster. At first, kicking out Sarah and Grace felt like freedom. He wined and dined Linda, buying bling that made her eyes light up. Fancy car, bigger pad, they lived large. See? No dead weight holding us back, he'd toast, clinking glasses. Linda purred agreements, but her gaze always flicked to his wallet. Guilt crept in nights, though. Grace's pleading face haunting his dreams, Sarah's parting shot echoing. One day you'll get what you tossed. He'd drown it in spending. Diamond bracelet for Linda. Caribbean cruise. You're the best, baby. She'd coo, but only post-gift. Quiet nights? She scrolled her phone, barely glancing up. Cash burned fast. Credit cards maxed. Buddies loaned dough he couldn't repay. At work, boss called him in. Discrepancies in the budget, Robert. Audit flagged him. Sweat beaded on his brow. He'd skimmed petty cash for Linda's whims, swearing he'd square it later. Sir, I can explain. Boss cut him off. Trusted you, you're out. Pay back or face charges. Fired, debts piling like snowdrifts. He spilled to Linda that night, voice cracking. We'll cut back. Find something. She laughed cold. Cut back? I didn't sign up for broke. Her bags were packed by morning. No note, just empty closets and a trail to some richer dude she'd been seeing on the side. Alone in the echoey apartment, bills stacking, Robert hit rock. Job hunt bombed. Word spread about the theft. Sold the car, downgraded to a dingy studio in a rough hood. Meals turned to ramen, clothes threadbare. Stress chewed him up. Blood pressure spiked, heart fluttering weird. Doc visits? No insurance, no cash. He popped cheap pills, but nights brought regrets sharp as knives. Sarah was right, he'd mutter to empty walls. Threw it all away. Homelessness hit like a freight train. Evicted, stuffed curbside. Shelters became home. Benches when full. He scavenged scraps, body breaking down. High blood pressure turned to dizzy spells. Chest pains shooting like fire. What have I done? He'd whisper, clutching a faded photo of Grace, his only keepsake. Day after day, the weight pressed heavier, Sarah's words a constant echo in his hollow chest. Years flew by like pages in a book, flipping Grace from that scared kid on the street to a sharp young nurse at the same hospital that almost turned them away. At 18, fresh out of high school with honors, she volunteered shifts, full scholarship to nursing school locked in for fall. That hot July afternoon, she wrapped her last one, scrubbing up in the locker room, buzzing about celebrating her acceptance with Evelyn, Sarah, and Hope. But chaos erupted in the ER lobby, paramedics bursting through with a stretcher, wheels squeaking on tile. Grace paused at the doors, peeking in. The guy on it looked rough, thin as a rail, dirty clothes hanging loose. No ID. Collapsed downtown market, a paramedic barked. No family living on the streets. BP through the roof. Hearts erratic. Grace's gut twisted. A homeless dude alone and fading. Reminded her of that rainy night, begging for scraps of kindness. Grace, Nurse Dorothy called, her mentor waving from the desk. Thought you bounced already. Was heading out. Saw this. He got anybody? Dorothy shook her head. Nada. If he wakes, it'll be solo. Conditions dicey. Grace chewed her lip. That old pull tugged hard. The one making her dive in when folks hurt. Even as a volunteer, her bosses trusted her with basics. Mind if I check later? Not my floor, but... Dorothy smiled, compassionate as ever. Dr. Rodriguez won't bite. Help monitor once he's stable. Hours later, after a quick coffee, Grace hit the third floor. Room 314. Guy stabilized but out cold. Malnutrition, dehydration, heart issues from rough living. She knocked soft, slipping in with ice chips and a damp cloth. The room hummed quiet. Beeps from monitors, faint hallway chatter. She pulled a chair close, checking vitals like clockwork. Leaning to fluff his pillow, she got a good look at his face. Her hands froze mid-air. Older, gaunt, gray hair thinning. But that jawline, those brows, she'd know it anywhere. Buried deep in nightmares. Robert Johnson, her dad. The man who'd slammed the door on them, arm around Linda, rain pouring. Grace's breath hitched, world tilting. He looked wrecked, nothing like the cocky manager tossing them out. Skin sallow, cheeks hollow, like life had sucked him dry. Instinct screamed run. Grab another nurse, bail. Her heart pounded, fists clenching. This jerk abandoned them, chose flash over family. But Evelyn's words echoed. Nursing means helping 'cause they need it, not 'cause they deserve it. Grace swallowed hard, sat back down. Right now he was just a patient, sick, alone. She adjusted his IV, noted his pulse, steady but weak. Then she really looked, tracing the lines time carved. What happened to you, Daddy? She thought, tears pricking unbidden. Memories flooded. Him spinning her as a kid. Bedtime stories warm and safe. Then the shift, money twisting him mean, that final shove. Lies, she muttered under her breath. All lies. Robert stirred then, eyelids fluttering, a low groan rumbling out. Grace wiped her face quick, snapping to pro mode. Sir, can you hear me? You're in the hospital. Safe. His eyes cracked open, unfocused, scanning the room like a lost dog. They landed on her, narrowing slow. Grace held still, breath caught. Would he know her? After 9 years? Then it hit. His eyes widened, mouth slack. Grace, he rasped, voice gravelly from disuse. My Grace. She kept cool, voice even. Yes, Mr. Johnson, I'm Grace, here to care for you. Robert tried sitting up, but weakness pinned him. You're grown. Beautiful. She ignored the ache his words stirred. Rest easy. You've had a heart scare. BP's high. Recovery first. But he pushed on, tears welling. Can't believe it's you. Where's Sarah? She okay? Anger flared hot in Grace's chest. Now he cares after ditching them pregnant and penniless? Mom's fine, she said clipped. Doing great, actually. Relief washed his face, then shame. Grace, I gotta say, I'm sorry. So damn sorry for what I did. She cut in. Save your strength, Mr. Johnson. Docs need you stable. Tears tracked down his cheeks. Wrong, I was dead wrong. He reached a shaky hand, veins bulging, skin paper thin. Grace eyed it, didn't take it. The kid in her wanted to grab hold, but the woman she'd become knew better. Can't call you daddy, she said quiet. That ship sailed. You bailed 9 years back. His hand dropped, eyes closing, like her words punched him. You're right. Lost that the night I kicked you out. No excuses, no bull, just admission. Grace blinked, surprised. She'd braced for lies. What happened to you? She asked, curiosity winning out. Robert stared at the ceiling, voice fading. Lost it all. Job, fired for dipping in the till to keep Linda happy. She bolted when the money dried up. Debts piled, health tanked. Been on the streets a year. Grace's emotions tangled. Pity, rage, a twisted satisfaction at Linda's ditch. Thought about your mom's words every day, he continued. You'll see what you threw away. She nailed it. Chased fake shine, lost real love. Grace listened, stone-faced, processing the wreck before her. Looked for you, he added weak. After she left, tried finding you, apologize, but gone. Thought maybe, dead. My fault. We made it, Grace said simple. Found real folks who cared. He nodded, more tears. Glad. You deserved better than me. Grace stood, conversation too raw. Visiting hours wrapping. Rest up. Test tomorrow. He grabbed at air. Grace, wait. See you again? She paused at the door. I'm on this floor. If you need care, someone's here. Not a yes, but all she could give. Out in the hall, Grace leaned on the wall, breaths shaky. Emotions crashed like waves, old hurt surfacing sharp. She pulled her phone, dialing Evelyn. Grace, dinner's waiting, celebrating you. Evelyn's voice warmed through. Mrs. Williams, I saw him. Dad, he's here, a patient. Silence, then soft. Come home, sweetie, we'll talk. Grace drove home in a daze, the hospital lights fading in her rear view like bad memories. Evelyn, Sarah, and Hope waited in the living room, faces etched with worry. She spilled it all, the wreck of a man in that bed, his tears, the begging. Sarah listened quiet, old pain flickering in her eyes like dying embers. When Grace finished, Sarah took her hand. What do you want to do, baby? I don't know, Mom, Grace admitted, voice cracking. Part of me pities the guy, but the rest? Still pissed as hell. Evelyn chimed in soft. You've grown strong, Grace. Follow your gut. It'll steer right. Over the next 3 days, Grace clocked her shifts, checking on Robert like any patient. Vitals, meds, small talk kept pro. Each visit, he'd light up hopeful, but she stayed walled off, treating him no different than the next bed over. On her last day before nursing school kicked off, Grace entered room 314 to find him sitting up, color better but still gone as a ghost. "Doc says I'm out tomorrow," he rasped, forcing a weak smile. "Back to the shelter, I guess." Grace nodded, scanning his chart. "BP stable. Stick to the pills. Eat regular." Robert's eyes pleaded. "Grace, before you go, I gotta say it. Regretted that night every damn day for 9 years. Sorry ain't enough, but it's all I got." She set the chart down, sat slow. Emotions churned like a storm inside. Hurt, anger, a weird peace bubbling up. "Mr. Johnson," she started quiet, "you didn't break us. Tried, but failed. Mom's a hotel manager now. Strong, happy. Hope's a smart kid. Knows he's loved. And me, starting nursing school to help folks." His tears flowed free. "Proud of you all. So damn proud." "We did it despite you," Grace pressed on, voice steady. "Found love that sticks. Not the kind you ditched." She stood looking down at the shell of her dad. "I forgive you. Not 'cause you earned it, but holding hate? That'd make me like you." "I won't." Robert's shoulders sagged, relief mixing with pain. "Thank you, Grace. You're better than I ever was." She headed for the door, pausing. "Goodbye, Mr. Johnson. Find some peace." He called soft. "Your mom was right. I didn't see what I tossed till it was gone. You were my best shot, and I blew it." Grace didn't turn back, just walked out, leaving him to the beeps and his regrets. Grace crushed nursing school, top of her class, landing a spot in emergency care at City General. She had a knack for calming the storm, holding hands through panic, ensuring no one got laughed off like she once did. "Grace heals with her heart," Dr. Rodriguez told rookies. "Watch her. That's real nursing." She married a kind doc from residency, built a home buzzing with 2 kids' laughter. Sarah ran the hotel like a boss. Hope bloomed into a talented artist, teaching classes that lit up faces. Evelyn saw it all, pride beaming till she passed at 85, slipping away peaceful in her bed, family circled tight. "You gave me purpose," she whispered to Grace hours before. The house echoed with memories, laughters, lessons, love that stuck. Grace never saw Robert again after that goodbye. Whispers from staff painted his slide. Health tanking, shelters his only roof. He never bounced back, never found another shot at life. Folks at the shelter said he'd ramble about his nurse daughter, pride mixed with shame, clutching that faded photo of little Grace like a lifeline. 10 years later, on a crisp winter eve, word hit. Robert died quiet in his sleep at the shelter, left nothing but that photo tucked in his pocket. Grace went to the funeral, not as daughter, but as someone who'd known him once. The chapel sat near empty, chaplain droning on forgiveness and second chances. She hung back, watching the simple casket. After, she laid a white flower on top. "You were my first tough case, Mr. Johnson," she murmured. "Hope you found what you hunted." Walking out into the biting wind, Grace felt light. Past chains snapped. That scared 9-year-old on the rainy street had kept her vow. "I'll never be like Daddy." She'd chosen compassion over cruelty, love over abandonment. In the end, that choice shaped everything. In the end, this story reminds us that true wealth isn't in money or fleeting pleasures. It's in the kindness we show and the love we nurture. Betrayal and greed can lead to a lifetime of regret and isolation, while compassion has the power to rebuild lives and create unbreakable bonds. What about you? Have you ever experienced a moment of unexpected kindness that changed everything, or witnessed the fallout of someone's selfish choices? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and what this tale means to you. Stick around for our next video, where we'll dive into another heart-wrenching tale of resilience and redemption that might just hit closer to home than you think. Thanks so much for watching and being part of this journey with me. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.